Gugabe podcast. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Gugabe, we had a week off. What'd you do this weekend? Other than, serve some prison time and, eat some shitty cafeteria food?
What did I do? Christ. Actually, I ignored MMA. That was good. No, Australia, we had both our grand finals with our sort of domestic codes. So we had the AFL grand final and an NRL grand final, which are both great. Just got around that. Life's good. Managed to do some miles on my conveniently placed treadmill.
Yeah.
I can use my computer. I can just watch the reflection in the TV behind. Yeah, it's a good system. All good. How are you, Tim? What you up to?
Not bad. I have a race coming up. I know we don't really talk about ourselves much, but I have a race coming up, and I've been kind of just running a lot for that. But I kind of jacked up my knee this morning, but I think I'm all right. But we'll talk. So it's been a while. We'll still recap a little bit of the card. It was a Gamrot Fiziev card for people who honestly may have forgot, because I forgot. As far as that fight, I thought, honestly, Gamrot, I think I didn't play it. I kind of thought it was a close fight going in, and honestly, Gamrot was striking better than I thought he would, and I kind of think it's still tough, because honestly, Fiziev still could have banked round 2, and then all he has to really do is maybe bank one more round, so he could have won. But I feel like Gamrot getting those low singles going and stuff, I feel like he would have probably landed takedowns more and more. And he was striking competitively enough on the feet to where at plus money, I'd probably think he's a side. But also, we didn't totally see it play out. But my hunch is Gamrot was the side, in my opinion. But what do you think? And you played Gamrot, so nice for you to get some.
I was medium.
Yeah.
I was medium on Gamrot. Again, I'm not going to say it was super indicative as a result. But I feel like, Fiziev, every time you single leg him, does fucking 2 minutes of explosive breakdancing. And I just don't think he has that many of those. How many times can he do that? Gamrot just has cheat code. Gamrot has had this absolutely blessed run, you have to acknowledge. But it's also when you do what Gamrot does, then you just put up a sheer amount of volume, sheer amount of durability, and just work hard. You're going to put yourself in position to just kind of have miracles happen in your favor, even though his run has been stupid. Gamrot's, Fiziev could have won, but my view is still that Fiziev either needs a knockout or he needs to take 3 tight rounds kind of situation. And just end of the day, Gamrot competes a lot closer on the feet than Fiziev competes in the grappling. And once Gamrot hits a hard pivot in that fight, even though again the fight, we didn't really play out, but I'm fairly confident that, unless Fiziev wobbled him or hurt him or rocked him or something, I just don't think, I think it would be hard for him to pull back the rounds once Gamrot got his single legs going. And I'm still surprised at Fiziev favour, because I just feel like he was just drawing quite thin.
Yeah.
Fiziev had he need the 3-2 or knockout.
In a 3-rounder, I think Fiziev has a legitimate chance to win.
100%. But
in a 5-rounder, in a 3-rounder, I'd maybe slightly favor Fiziev. In a 5-rounder, I'd probably favor Gamrot. Gamrot was just striking a lot better than I thought he would. Even round 1 was competitive, it was still kind of it was obviously a pretty freak accident, but Gamrot was fighting very well until that point, and Fiziev was too. But I do think Gamrot was the side. Mitchell and Ige, it's weird. I think Mitchell was probably rightfully favored because he has so much ups, but it was weird. I was watching it on my phone, so I didn't have any volume either, so I wasn't paying that much attention. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, or you, Gugabe. I actually kind of thought Ige might have won the first 2 rounds, but they were close enough to where you just need a judge or two to give. But Mitchell clearly round 3, but I just felt it was weird because Mitchell was ending the round well in round 1 or 2, but he also kind of got beat up for a bit in a couple of those rounds. So I thought the argument of damage versus grappling could have played there. But what did you think? Did you think Ige got a round or 2 in the first couple?
I mean, I could see how he could score for Ige, both round 2 to recency bias and what Mitchell ended around and Mount, didn't he? That kind of stuff.
I vaguely remember too, so I could be off base here. So
Moneyline felt about right. Like Mitchell kind of feels like he shouldn't work as well as he does. He feels like he shouldn't. Like there's going to be eventually be a brick wall fight for Mitchell, and like I suppose he kind of had it against Tapuria. But even like Tapuria didn't get absolutely like, volume wise, the striking was more competitive than probably should have been. But I don't know. Then Tapuria showed that he had elite cardio against Emmett somehow.
Yeah.
Like again, it was just kind of just. Ige just struggles to control grapplers, but is dangerous. So, like, I just feel like they have a split decision a lot of times. That Mitchell just has a bit more control upside and
a little more like mount dominant position.
Yeah.
I do think it's just going to be hard for either of those guys to finish each other, though. Like both are very, very, very tough.
But they're both going to absorb the best of the other's offense, kind of thing. Like, eventually you do fall over and die.
Rodriguez beat the fuck out of Michelle. Like, dude, that was one of the bigger women MMA beatings in like some time, don't you think?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like first time that fight was booked, I had the inside distance fairly big because it was like fucking 5 days notice at ADR, and the fight never really took off. It was just like Waterson doing Waterson shit on the outside for the entire fight, and Rodriguez didn't really push it. But it's kind of funny, like here, like the snowball starts and suddenly I feel like with inside distance, go distance sometimes, it's just so much of it's predicated on that first moment of sort of the crack opening, and then everything just kind of goes off there kind of a thing. Because sometimes people are like, oh, they fought, they traded 200 head strikes and neither of them fell down. They go the distance locked in. It's like, yeah, but if one of them actually did wobble, like from there, it probably just kind of just goes off. Like
so much of brawl and stuff, a little,
so much of tempo self-perpetuates. Like, if the tempo goes up, the other person has to raise tempo, and then you just start smacking each other in the face kind of situation. Like, I think a lot of times with overs and unders, there's always this kind of thing where, like, it went to the decision, it never could have finished. And it's like, they don't work like that.
I also think a lot of it, this one was like Waterson really forced takedowns on the inside, and that she got like, Marina's very good in the clinch. Like she's dangerous there. When she gets that plum, she'll just like murder you. And I think Waterson trying to do that just like allowed Marina to land like really big inside shots very often, and she just fucking killed. I mean, that was bad.
It was kind of funny, like live lines, because like Waterson hits a takedown instantly and goes from plus 300 to minus 150.
It was like even. Yeah.
Then Rodriguez gets back up and fucking Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I know. It was just funny, like from live betting point of view. It was just like, the way that Waterson just went.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's like run through this. So like battle Fletcher. Okay. I was on Jordan over Ramos, kind of a random result. And I know
you need to stop playing again. I'm not sure which gods you're sacrificing to, but like, come on, that was just a bad bet. Come on, why? I get Jordan won, but I just don't get how could you half your mind to minus 140 Jordan.
This is what I thought. Jordan is going to be way harder to finish in that fight. I think we can agree, like for the most part. Like at least Jordan doesn't just collapse in fights, and Ramos went to his win condition and still didn't win. And like if Ramos doesn't, there was a very in the 4 decisions he's had, 3 of the fights, Ramos, he's only shot like 0 to 2 takedown attempts. And then there was only 1 against, who was it? Algo. He shot like 14. And so I was leaning towards like him probably not optimizing his path to victory, and which Jordan would probably win in a striking fight. Or just like, even if he doesn't get like back control. When we've seen Jordan get held down, it's usually back control stuff by like Burgos. Ramos doesn't really do that. So I thought it like uniquely.
Yes, he does.
Not as much. He doesn't like body triangle for whole rap. Like Ramos will kind of like jump shit, and he's kind of an idiot. Like he's.
Oh yeah, but they're both idiots. Right? So make sure Jordan Ramos is just.
I don't know. I'm not going to defend it. I'm just going to say like the thing is Ramos still did like optimize his path to victory and collapse. So I don't know, but it was definitely dumb. I'm not going to act like I predicted that to happen at all.
Like, he did, but my thing for Jordan is like, I just feel like the UFC thing of Jordan's always been, if you wait 5 minutes, you can generally get him at plus 200. Like, there's just, like, I think there's only been like 1 fight where it's actually been worthwhile pre-betting Jordan.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like, every other fight.
Watching these fights, like, as much, so yeah. But, like, I kind of watch them on my phone. But John's argument, I didn't see this one. I saw, like,
John's was good.
Did he look good?
Yeah, I like John's being, again, there's always, like, the John's being a sort of mental midget kind of risk, but like it was kind of weird because like Johns is like it's like Gravely, where it's like there's actually like if Johns has a good day, he can be like a top 10 bantamweight. Like he has a bunch of good shit together in this game, and he's actually he's hard to grapple. It was kind of funny though, because like Argueta, fight started and Argueta got a back take within like 30 seconds, just saw bum rushed him, ended up on the back, and I was like, oh shit, Johns is about to collapse and that kind of stuff, and then fell off the back, and Johns just kind of punched him hard in the face for 15 minutes. Like, yeah, Argueta kept trying hard. Like, yeah, Argueta's people acting like Argueta suddenly sucks here, and I'm just like, yes, he has severe skill issues, but he does push it. Yeah, he's a little crazy person, and that does win fights.
Yeah,
I think there's a good chance of decent buy low on Argueta.
Yeah,
and Johns just continues being Johns.
Tim Means being like plus 160 was still just like bizarre to me. Because like even I played Means. We talked. I think you did too as well.
Yeah,
right? Like, it just seemed very obvious that there's value on him. And the thing is, even worst case scenario, and say if we just assume Means like could not take a shot, it's like then he probably has equivalent durability of Fialho. Like Fialho has a very, very bad chin, like really bad. And then Means is literally better in every area of the sport. Don't you think?
Yeah, and yeah, like Fialho is like even an athlete or anything. Because like, yeah, I feel like there's a certain amount of just people just capping age here, and it's like Fialho is kind of fucking terrible. Like, yeah, he knocked out. He pulled Fialho has an okay floor because he'll just swing to the fences kind of thing, and like that can win fights, but like he's not very good.
Brundage, like, so I had everything except like all my plays except I had like Brundage or I had Malkoun parlayed up. This was like the clearest fake job ever. But it was kind of funny. Like, I mean, we already tweeted about this. I do agree because you tweeted basically like I don't blame him there. It's like take the win, double your, and it's like yeah, like I get it. Like you know,
I blame the ref, not Brundage personally.
100%, yeah. Because like, dude, that ref, it's like how many times do you have like a 70 strike ground? Like I bet Waterson probably got hit in the back of the head at some point in that like barrage. You know, when you're just getting hit a lot, it happens, and I just cannot believe, and it was hilarious that Brundage was like clearly fine, but like besides the point, we know he faked it. It is what it is. But the ref stopping it there and then just like calling that a DQ, like I don't think it was. Yeah, I don't know. It was bizarre. He's a terrible ref, Mark Smith. Like he just makes like terrible decision after terrible decision. Do you kind of see it the same way? Like it's like it. Like Peter Yan on Algo, I get why the ref like stops it there. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
Do I think Algo probably milked it? Yes, 100%. Do I think like that one was way more like Yan being a complete moron? Yeah, because like he is literally being told he's grounded, don't knee him, and Yan just did it anyway. Like this one, there was like no warning. It was just like a grazing forearm and kind of like a frantic ground and pound situation, and they just like stop it, and it didn't even do much either. So it was bizarre.
Yeah, my issue is like I just wish there was more consistency around it because like purely reading the rules of the sport, like you can disqualify Malkoun there, but like it is so far away from the conventional approach to how it's read. Like
that was unprecedented. Like it's very rare. That was one of the softest DQs ever.
Yeah, I'd say so. Because there was that one on World Cup Brazilian, really explosive guy, Eric Silva. But then he got DQ'd in a similar fashion, but that was like a decade ago now.
Yeah, I think I didn't watch the Contender Series, but I think like he let someone get kneed late, like in the.
Oh, that was kind of weird. That was like one man down kind of situation that people are arguing about. Yeah.
He is a terrible ref though. It's pretty clear. But Usman beat Collier.
That was actually a surprising performance from Usman because like again, like Usman just randomly rocked up and had cardio and striking. And it was just like what.
I saw some people being like, Collier was a side. I'm like, I don't know about that. Usman didn't even go to his wrestling until like later in the fight. And once he did, he kind of dominated. And even on the feet, it was like, Collier. I can agree, though. The was it an eye poke, right? That was kind of things. Like, I do agree with that. But still, I still think if Usman went to wrestling hard, you could have got like a dominant wrestling performance even if the eye poke never happened. I do think the eye poke could that something he didn't look right. I will say, like he was blinking at you could. It was a bad one too, but that was a decent performance by Usman. That was probably his best performance. Like
by a wide margin. Oh, that was the whole thing that shocked me. It's just like Usman just like what was Usman's work rate there? Because remember, like as an actual striking performance, like he actually like put up like good numbers for a heavyweight, and it's like everything else Usman's ever done has been kind of gassy and
terrible, mediocre.
Yeah, he threw 186 significant strikes from distance. Like, if you told me Usman was going to put up 186 was going to put up, because of the last 2.5 minutes.
And he had like a gas tank, like that was. That was like a me thinking Usman can like get in the top 15. Kind of thing. Yeah, like I mean. Yeah.
That was a massive.
I still don't think he's very good. I just think heavyweight's very bad. And like he can kind of wrestle. He can kind of strike. I don't know. He's had some bad performances before though, like definitely.
It's like heavyweight.
Collier like hurt him early and I was like, Usman's so fucked. And then he just kind of like
dug deep and that's my take on it. Because pre-fight I was in Collier and I was like, I assumed, if you told me they went to a 15-minute striking fight and Collier Collier put up 200 striking attempts, I would assume, all right, Usman's put up 40. Like, Usman has had a hard, that was tape. Man, Usman,
for sure. That was I still don't think he's, great, but that was I'm going to be careful with him now, type of thing.
Yeah. That guy could be a top 12. That guy could fight Ivanov or whatever tomorrow, and, that's a fight. You put up 200. You put up 200 striking attempts at heavyweight, and you can hit and you go for 3 takedowns. You can beat people.
He still looks awkward and stuff, and doesn't look like a clean striker. But I don't know. I came away with the same thing. I haven't talked to anyone about that. I was I still don't think he's a great fighter, but I'm he can maybe make the top 15, and he's gonna get some wins. If he fights that.
He'll be competitive against top. Yeah, again, there's a good chance that he just never does it again, and just turns out this is just a singular performance where he had cardio. But he got perfectly good fights like Ivanov, Tiberia, that kind of shit. Malowski, that was impressive. It was just shocking that he pulled that out of his ass at the age of 34 against it's halfway through round 1, it was Jake Collier was owning him in round 1. He's not wrestling, he must be fucked, and then he just kind of was not fucked.
Yeah. Then 2 terrible women's MMA fights. We won't even talk about those. Let's get into the main event for this card: Grant Dawson and Bobby Green. I've had Dawson on the pod before, and I talked to him. I've generally been high on him, as far because his skill set wins fights. I do think he'll run into a wall eventually and get beat. And I generally have picked him to win every fight too. Including against Demir. He's a good wrestler, good back taker. If he gets stuck in a striking fight against someone who can grapple, he's obviously really going to struggle, but he can probably grapple like most people. And he's a good back taker, a pretty good submission grappler. I'm guessing he gets the back here at some point and kind of wins. But Green isn't a terrible wrestler, and if he can just survive, he will. The striking disparity here is massive, massive. But I don't know. I still wouldn't want to touch Dawson in a parlay or anything, just because I don't like the fact that he's at such a disadvantage on the feet, and just shit could happen, or if he just randomly doesn't get a finish. We've seen the cardio thing with Glenn before. If Glenn can put him in a bad spot there, a guy at plus 300, at least has a way to win. But my guess is Dawson grapples enough, gets it back enough, either gets a finish or kind of just wins dominant round by doing that. Do you kind of feel the same way? Don't touch it, but
I'm fairly confident Dawson wins, but also like he's got enough, like the lack of a plan B if his thing isn't working, just kind of, and the time he gassed out against Glenn. Yeah. Those two things just kind of stress me out a bit, but like, I feel like Dawson's game should work, and Green's kind of looked bad. And like, if Green wasn't coming off two very sort of mid performances, I'd probably be a bit more interested. But like, he looked he looked kind of bad against Gordon before the headbutt, which again, like not hugely relevant here because it was a striking fight.
Yeah, because like he, even if he's like 30% declined from last time, he's still a better striker than Dawson. You know?
And the Ferguson fight, even then he just looked off. So it was just like, if it was off the Dober fight, I'd probably be a bit more interested in persuading myself on this one. But like, it's like, I'm not the biggest fan of Dawson, but like, his sort of style wins fights. Good on him, I guess.
I will say Green has generally not been very easy to control. Like, there's not like we've seen people in spots.
Stupid. His grappling stuff is kind of weird because like he's like good enough at grappling, but he can sort of not be controlled dominantly. But then he just fucking he's got these mindsets was like it was like the classic Masvidal thing where it's like the guy I think I'm good at mixed martial arts, and this guy's giving me a contest of whatever mixed martial art. I need to fight them here. Sort of like remember like him against Guida and that kind of shit where he almost made it very difficult on himself.
Yeah.
Like, if he just sort of pushed off Guida and punched in the face like he won it dominantly, then like he almost like loses the decision. Like, he put himself in like
there, and I remember being like, you should have been minus 900 there, but you just made that like a fight you still probably won, but like way closer than it should have been.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's all things live here. It's like, Green will probably have like one or two like big grappling sort of moments where it's like he'll have like success against Dawson, then he'll get back taken because he'll get greedy or some shit. There'll be spots where it's like, all right, Green, you can separate and go back to space if you want to and be completely fine and give Dawson a lot of issues, or you continue to scramble here because you want to try and beat this guy at jiu-jitsu, and then he will continue to scramble and give up a back take, and he'll be like, for fuck's sake, Green, why did you do that?
Yeah, I think my main concern, like, I overall think Dawson, his skill set is very consistent, and he'll probably get it done with it, but my main concerns for him is just like he's minus 400, and Green is significantly better in a couple areas of MMA, so like that just like concerns me. So like like if he just defends it, like it could be a thing. Like I know Green's not a knockout guy, but he hits a little harder than I think people like. He's a little more dangerous than people give him credit for. And like if he just gets like a little bit of striking time, he could KO Dawson for sure. And just the fact that this is a 5-rounder, and if Dawson just happens to not get him out of there, seeing like what Glenn did to him when he got on top, like. Glenn beat the fuck out of him. And I still like don't understand that because overall, like Dawson's cardio has generally not been like a weakness, but that one was like I asked him about it like whenever he was on here, and I was kind of trying to get at whether it was like cardio or and he said it was more like he thought he was up 2 rounds, so he was like I just have to survive, and then like it just like led to a bad round, So I don't know, but. I think we talked about it enough. I think I'm passing on the fight. Joe Pfeiffer and Al Hassan. I still don't like know how good Joe Pfeiffer is. I don't think he's a bad fighter, but he hasn't beaten many people. Like Alan Amedovski is not UFC material, and then like Gerald Meerschaert can just happen at Gerald Meerschaert. Kill him. I feel like playing Pfeiffer and Juice is just not a good idea because even if he's way better than Al Hassan always just has a high floor because he could kill anyone, But Al Hassan's gassy. I think Pfeiffer can like fight longer, and not gas. He's the rightful favorite, but it's another pass for me. Do you like anything here?
I think you have to take a little bit of Al Hassan at this price because like when Al Hassan KO1, if it's like ends up being like plus 1400 or some shit, because just like I just think Al Hassan just has a high floor. He's
not very good, but you don't want to play anyone minus 400 against him either.
Exactly. Especially if it's like like Pfeiffer was having like Pfeiffer was definitely the better athlete, better bigger hitter against Amedovski, but like look at the numbers. It was like 13-11. Like, I don't think Pfeiffer is. I understand Pfeiffer's height, but I'm still like, it's possible he just is not very good. Like, there's no indication to me that Pfeiffer is some super prospect. It's not like it's like some Dagestani wrestle guy where it's all right when he's playing his game, he'll at least control grapple kind of thing. It's like, well, Pfeiffer just got to have a swinging match against Al Hassan, and like nobody is minus 400 in the swinging match against Hassan, in my opinion.
Yeah. Pfeiffer will probably win, but he could easily get knocked out here. I mean,
yeah.
Again, I still just don't know how good he is. Like, if you look, like, Alan Amidovsky in a quick knockout versus Mearshart, other than that, I don't know, like, most of his competition. Like, the Stoltzfus thing was pretty fluky, whatever.
Yeah. But Stoltzfus actually cares.
Yeah. And then, like, other than that, like, he's beating a bunch of bums, and that's pretty much it. Like, I will say he did beat Mearshart in a grappling competition, and I watched it, and he looked competent there. So, like, so
yeah.
I still think he's a fine fighter, but I also feel like I want to see more of him, and I'm not playing -4. I wouldn't play a really good fighter -400 against Al Hassan. Like, someone who I know is, like, should be there. I'd be like, fuck it. Like, they could get killed. Yeah, but if you want to play Al Hassan, like, KO1 is probably the way to go, but who knows? He's had performances where he's like, remember Buckley, where he just like looked terrible for like a round or two, and then he just started winning round 3? That was kind of a bizarre fight. Remember that?
Yeah. It's like, Buckley just cardio dumped on him and like the nose on. Like, he's kind of a silly athlete, which helps him a lot. And like, he's lost to. Yeah, he had a very close fight with Buckley where he could. I think that could have gone either way because like I had Juice Buckley and I was like, oh fuck, this is not good. He got insta-bombed by Chaos. It's like, who cares? And he lost decisions to Malkoon and Lizette, who I think are a lot more consistent and cardio-y and like process-driven than what we've seen from Pfeiffer.
Yeah. Speaking of Buckley Morono, the line's coming in a little bit, which I think it probably should. I just feel like it's one of those fights. I don't have strong opinions here at all. Like, honestly, I picked Buckley to win on my write-up, but if Buckley doesn't knock him out, like, Morono is probably a better round-winning striker, wouldn't you think? Like, I would say, like, he's got more volume, and he's probably more skillful. Buckley's a better athlete, hits harder, but Morono can kind of crack a little more than people think. Buckley has some wrestling equity, I think. Morono doesn't defend takedowns really well. So, like, I get why Buckley's a favorite, but also, like, Buckley has been knocked out before, and I'm not sure he's a better round. I don't think he's a better round-winning striker either. I think, like, if you're picking Buckley to win, you're hoping he hurts Morono, which isn't always good to rely on. Like, Morono's durability, I wouldn't say is, like, good, but I don't think it's awful. Like, he's in a lot of striking fights. And he's been knocked out a few times, which is like fine, Even Buckley, I didn't even think Buckley. I played Buckley at like -200 against Fialio, and I was just kind of like, it was a little closer than I thought it should have been for a bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm expecting a competitive fight, and like if Buckley gets big moments, he'll probably win. If he doesn't, I think he's going to lose. I honestly do, unless if he just like dominantly wrestles to a decision. But I don't really trust that outcome. And we've seen Buckley randomly gas before. I just feel like Morono has enough ways to like get a win. He has some finishing upside. He's a decent round winner that I think the line should be a little more competitive here. But it's coming in, and I don't have strong opinions on who's going to win, though. What about you?
I think Morono will pass. I'm pretty much the same. Like, I feel like Buckley's slight favourite is justified because I think he's a better athlete. Yeah, probably has a little bit higher chance of hitting the take. Like, I'm not saying he's not going to come out and Khabib him, but like, if Buckley just hits a takedown, like that probably justifies the price in there, kind of thing, with Morono's get-up issues. But I think probably slightly higher chance just round me knock him out, kind of thing. Like, gun to my head, like plus 170 Morono was solid, but like current pricing, I honestly think it's about right. It should be a fun. I think it's a fun fight. I'm looking forward to it, but seems fine to me.
I think it should be a little closer. Like the Means one last week, I was like, Means should be favored. Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
This one, I'm not saying Morono should be favored. I just feel like he's clearly the side, like, and I'm not confident he win. I was like semi-confident Means is going to win. I was just like, if he doesn't get knocked out, how does he lose this fight? And I thought his durability was being like massively over-exaggerated by getting guillotined by like Holland and shit. But overall, I think we have similar opinions. Dober and Glenn. Like Dober rifle favorite. Like Dober's chin is like going though. He's been getting hurt and stuff a lot, but like he has more firepower. But like Glenn looked awful in his last fight, but it happened quick. Like, and Giagos is like hard to get a hold of and whatnot for a couple minutes, and he just got knocked out. Overall, Glenn's been very durable, and like I'm just afraid this turns into a war, and then you have like Dober minus 400 in a war. He'll probably win a war. I think he's like clearly more athletic and whatnot, but Glenn isn't like terrible, and I know he's not like a KO artist, but I just feel like in striking, shit happens, and these guys are both going to probably get hit very, very hard. Dober will probably win, but you kind of have the same opinions. Like I'm still a little sketched out by Dober in recent times, but he'll probably win. I think
Dober. Yeah, I love Dober. Like again, we've made a lot of money on Dober over the years, but I feel like kind of like if you take a serious look at Dober's record, it's like a lot of the spots we talk on him have aged pretty poorly, but like it's been a lot more about the other guy being kind of shit kind of thing. Like Bobby Grady kind of pulled it out of his ass. Rafael Alves wilts. McKinney wilts. Brad Riddell kind of aged very badly. Like that was a lot. Like him and Brad Riddell sort of took the finish off each other's chins.
The Hernandez, he murdered her. That was a good performance.
But still Hernandez is not what he was. Is not what people thought he was. Yeah. Nazareth, he instantly killed him, and Nazareth is not what people thought he was.
Yeah. You know, Dober was like plus 300 in that matchup. He would probably be favored now. Yeah,
I know. I mean, like, I had Dober in that fight. Like, I'm not denying. Yeah, Dober was clearly value there, but I just feel like, the Nazareth that people were imagining they were getting was not the Nazareth who was actually exists.
I do agree. A lot of his wins had to do with his opponents, but I still do think he had some good performances in there too. And whatnot. Even against Dariush, he gave Dariush a lot of issues. Even then, though, like Dariush, you can give Dariush issues if you're just like, violent and
I mean, I'm not saying he sucks. I'm just kind of saying he's like, the guy who had an absolute war with Frank Camacho and like went to a 50-50 decision with Frank Camacho is still in there. Like, I don't think that I don't think that like people like act like Dober took like a massive lead. I think it was more just run of opposite opponents, the run of just sort of fortunate thing and sort of swing.
I think it was more he used to be underrated and now he's overrated. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Like I think he was a little underrated, and you and I were like, I mean, you're getting even money against Alexander Hernandez, and now Bill Algo is favored against Alexander Hernandez on this card. You know what I mean? Like it's just like stuff like that. And then I think he got a little. And he was clearly underrated going against Hakparas if he's plus 300. And we were like, what the fuck? Like Dober could easily win this fight. Like, and then he now I think he's a bit overrated. But I just don't like that. I feel like his chin used to be like a good thing, but dude, even like Riddell like hurt him really badly a couple times. McKinney
Green did too.
Green hurt him. Frivola knocked him out. Like he's been getting cracked, and in his last 5 fights, he got hurt in 4. The only one he didn't was against Rafael Alves. So
didn't he get hurt against Alves around 1 or something? I thought Alves had like some magical moment sometime around 1. Like it was Rafael Alves fight. He always has one moment.
A big head kick in Dober, like it didn't phase Dober, but he still landed a big shot. And that's the point of Dober. Like you can land good shots. I still think he'll get like Glenn. I still think he'll get through Glenn. I think he has too much firepower. Hits a little harder, but Glenn has like performed well as underdogs before. So he generally gets underrated by the market, but he did look terrible like against Giagos, like the way he looks very slow and whatnot. But
again, I feel like Glenn will pass but it's just like I feel like Glenn's just kind of diminished himself and kind of on the downward slope, so it's like hard to really get behind him. But like, I think that like it would not. I'm expecting that the fight after this, I'll probably be on whoever's Dober's fighting, most likely.
I kind of hope Dober murders him, and then we kind of like you said, we get like a better deal on his next one. Felipe Lenz and Cutelaba. I haven't even thought about this fight. You want to talk about it?
I mean, Lenz is weird because like now he's like kind of the last couple of fights, like Lenz has some very good offensive tools. Like when he's going forward and he's not being instantly killed, I think Lenz is like a viable top light heavyweight if he is not being instantly killed. But there's just the tape of him being instantly killed a few times in the regionals, and he's 39 years old. He doesn't look 39 years old, but apparently he is. And yeah, as a result, it's just like, all right, I think he probably shouldn't be dog here because like Cutelaba is so limited, but also Cutelaba is going to just kind of sprint out and swing wildly at him. And like, we all know if Cutelaba wins this fight, it's going to be by instant knockout, and I'm going to feel like an idiot. So it's just kind of like.
The thing I don't like about Cutelaba is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's lost like 5 or 6 of his last 8 fights, and the 2 he won. He was just able to really bully Devin Clark, and he just knocked out Bozer and kind of bullied him. Like, he's not a good nail. Like, he's a good hammer, but he's not a good nail. Like, Lins doesn't beat the fuck out of you, so maybe that will help Cutelaba. But I feel like Cutelaba's a guy who, when he starts getting hit by someone who can bully him a little bit, he is kind of he just kind of wilts, you know. So that's why I just never like him in general. I'm just not. He's Cutelaba could be better than he is, I feel, but like Ryan Spann, it was he was so panicked and then just wilted, and it just happens a lot in his fights. But I don't know. I don't even know who's favorite. I haven't been paying attention to that one.
Cutelaba minus 150. I think you got to take Lins. Lins will pass that kind of pricing.
Probably, yeah. Algo and Hernandez. Algo is a slight favorite. What do you think here? You go.
I think I could see how Hernandez could win this dominantly, but also I feel like Hernandez is has such that flakiness in him, particularly at featherweight now. It's just I don't want to do business with him at plus 111, and I think Algo is kind of one harder versions of this fight. I think TJ Brown was a worse version of this for him in terms of TJ Brown being able to actually control grapple him, and then he just high rolled some miracle. But it's just Hernandez. I'm expecting Hernandez to win round 1 for a decent clip. I just feel Hernandez just goes off a cliff so hard when he has a moment of adversity. Now, do you really want to do business with him plus 111? I'd rather just wait a round, and you can get Algo plus 150 or plus 200 maybe. And,
so
should be fun.
So, you know, funny stat. This is probably the only fight I've ever done this with. Since I started predicting fights on my site, I've never missed an Alexander Hernandez fight. I've gotten everyone right. Yeah. So he's just a guy I've been calling. Yeah. Well, I picked Cowboy to upset him. His dominant win over Trinaldo, I picked. I picked. So
you missed a few times, so it's all good.
I picked Moises over him. I picked him over Breeden. I picked Moicano. I picked Billy Q and bet Billy Q. Then I picked him over Miller. So I've done a good job on him. On this one, this is weird because Algo. I played Algo versus Brown, and I kind of thought he didn't look as.
That was an absolute. Yeah, that was a miracle.
He did I remember just being fuck, Brown does flake enough to where he can.
He does, but people acted like Brown gassed, and Brown did not gas. Brown just got caught with a short elbow and died, kind of a thing. Again, it is very possible Brown would have gassed. I'm not saying he wouldn't have gassed. I'm not saying it's possible, but it's the Gamrot to the Fiziev situation. Where it's I understand why you still want to hold on to your pre-fight thing, but looking at that particular result, you cannot say conclusively that it played out.
Yeah, I don't know. Hernandez is weird because I've just been I kind of knew he wasn't very good right away, and I just picked his spots. I knew the Jim Miller, when the Jim Miller fight got made, we were oh no, he should probably win that fight. We've kind of
he should probably win that fight.
Yeah, this is a weird one because Hernandez has some grappling equity here, but I feel trusting he it's hilarious. He beat OAM, which is a great win with grappling.
Makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, and then ever since then, he's never really. He's wrestled in spots occasionally, but then he just couldn't keep it up for the whole fight because he faced some resistance, you know. But I do Algo only defends takedowns at 55%. I do think Hernandez could pull some of that off, though. But the issue is he may not go to it. In which case Algo has the cardio and I trust him more in a war, you know, for sure on the feet.
Yeah.
Hernandez could hit him very, very hard though, but Algo is just so hard to finish, and that's the reason why I think you have to pick Algo here is just he's so hard to finish, so his floor is higher. I do think Hernandez could win a decision, but trusting Hernandez to win a decision, it's just like that's 15 minutes for him to like flake out, get hurt, blah blah blah. Like he's probably going to be at a striking disadvantage. So I'm not as confident in it, but I will pick Algo to win. But I'm not. I do think Hernandez could win this fight. This is like one I'm not as confident in than some of the other ones where I have like made plays against Hernandez in. But I just feel like at least Algo has that like he probably won't get finished aspect. Like he's less likely to get finished than Hernandez. Like Hernandez can just get tired. That's just kind of how he is. Did you kind of see it the same way?
Yeah, pretty much. I can see how Hernandez could win this quite cleanly, but also I just feel like there's always the chance that the penny just drops, and it's just like,
yeah. But I don't know. Are there any other fights you want to talk about, or anyone in the comments you want to talk about, or like overall? We've covered a lot. So,
nah, prelims like this. It's not an unfun card. Like, there's a bunch of okay fights in there, but like
Gutierrez and Jackson's a good fight. Gutierrez Jackson.
Sorry.
Gutierrez Jackson's a good fight.
I just feel like sorry, 1 second. I just feel like Gutierrez, like he runs off such a thin margin. I just feel like I think like Gutierrez is better at MMA than Jackson, but I feel like Jackson just has so many fucking wide win buttons. Like, and also like Gutierrez got taken down by.
Well, Jackson could wrestle him too.
And it's like Jackson could just hit him very, very hard. Like Jackson is kind of stupid because it's like Ryan Spann kind of shit where it's just like he gets to accidentally kill you. Like I don't like Jackson as a. No, Jackson annoys me because it's just insane physical potency, but it's just like Gutierrez kind of has to win a close split decision sort of striking sort of thingy here, and like I just feel like Jackson just has so many ways to just pull out a win.
Jackson's weird because like the only fight he's fought a lot of like grappling dependent fighters who he's just been able to stop their grappling and murder him on the feet, like Yaya, Bays, Colares, like a lot of guys. Like he was able to obviously take Colares down and whatnot. Rest in peace, by the way, Colares. But I always forget about that. And then the only person he fought that I was like, oh, we're actually going to get a striking fight here, Julio Arce, and I thought he looked all right. He didn't put up a ton of volume, but he was a better striker. Jackson like could go far, I feel, but I also like want to see him get steps up. This is like at least he might get a striking fight here and against a guy who could throw leg kicks and maybe give him issues. But Jackson has more paths to victory. I think he hits harder from a one-shot basis, and he also could just grapple Gutierrez. Like Jackson is a pretty good wrestler overall, but yeah. I think he's a rifle favorite for more paths to victory, but that's all we got. You have jiu-jitsu to get to in 22 minutes, right? So I'll let you go. Yeah. And then I need to go to bed. My bedtime's like 8 p.m. now, so I'm a loser. But
good luck in your round. Enjoy your
I'll see you, brother. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Bye.
Catch it.